Good morning. My name is Rob Thacker. I'm the music director here at St. John's. And I want to thank Yoon Young Lee for being our guest pianist again today. Thank you for being here. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing our gathering hymn for today, hymn 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice. Everybody try clapping. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Welcome. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Good morning. Let me just do a few reminders of announcements, and then I have someone to ask to come up and speak. In your bulletin, February forum will be February 4th at 9:45. All the information you need to know is in your bulletin. Tai Chi restarts on Thursday, January 15th. The information about the time and where is in your bulletin. Covenant, big discussion on January 25th. Make sure you mark your calendar for that. Pictures and more. Please look at the table and call Pfeiffer. Oh, Lord, I hope I didn't screw that up.
It's fine.
We've been instructed, don't touch this microphone. So there's tons of pictures to look through. Some are like 25 and 30 years old. You won't even recognize yourselves, let alone your friends. But take a look, and please, if you're in them, you want them, take them. Otherwise, we're not going to store these forever. So make sure you look at the pictures. From Mary Lynn, we have an announcement about circle suppers. We are signing up for circle suppers. Our circle suppers are dinners hosted by a member of the congregation. They are all potlucks, and you can sign up for one dinner so that everyone gets a chance to participate. We have dates from February through May. We have one coming up quick on February 7th. If that date works for you, we'd love to go ahead and fill that one up. Mary Lynn will be on Carl Pfeiffer after the service, and especially if you are new to St. John's, please check it out. It's a wonderful way to meet new people. Now I'd like to call Nancy Johnson up to make the announcement about soup and supper, soup and bread. Not doing well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you heard the news? We have a $500,000 matching grant for our Both and Capital campaign. With your help, St. John's can raise at least $750,000. So far, we already have $50,400 in pledges, so we're more than a fifth of the way to our goal. That's what I think. This is a big opportunity, so please visit the Capital Campaign team in the foyer to get your questions answered and to pick up a pledge form, and there's also a QR code if you want to pledge online.
And soup and bread is today after service, right? So stay for that.
A Flame to Light Our Path by Deborah Burrell. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace.
Welcome to St. John's Unitarian Universalist Community. My name is Glasscott, and I joyfully serve this morning as your worship associate. With thankful hearts, we have committed ourselves into this circle of community. It may be your first such commitment, and if so, we are so grateful that you're here. We join together this morning, as always, to share and to praise life's moments of joy and grace in the midst of pain, anger, disbelief, and more challenge. Our world is fragile. Our country is fragile. We are fragile. St. John's is a safe and a sacred place. There is no need to feel tentative here. Bring your whole self. Bring your kindness, your hope, compassion, and your joy. Bring your sorrow, your pain, your disappointment, and your struggles. But be prepared, because instead of answers, here you may find safety and openness for your questions. And instead of promises, you may find a community ready with willing hands and love in our hearts. Once again this week, we have witnessed the fragility of life, the injustices, the cruelty, and the contortions of truths that we see with our very own eyes. We are here this morning to be together in solidarity because St. Johners believe our lives are best lived in questioning and conversation, in compassion and service, in gratitude and joy, in companionship and in love. It is awesome to be together with you this morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
We'll now sing hymn 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." Please rise and embody your spirit. "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves placed just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Please join me in our affirmation. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands.
Hi, my name is Dot Waremeyer. I am a member of the Spirit Connections team, as is David Strecker and Ann Schur. and Lynn O'Brien, who can't be here. One of the things that the Spirit Connection team does is to honor people in the St. John's community who have made a positive difference at St. John's and in the larger community. Our next Spirit Award goes to Kathy and David Rentz for their longtime service to St. John's. So Kathy and David, if you would come up. Have your stool over here for you.
Stand over there. Oh, it's stool.
Yes,
That's
have
great.
your stool for you.
Tell us what we did.
Kathy and David are the driving forces behind the choir. Kathy is the leader of the choir team, and Dave's and Kathy's support and love for the choir and the music program at St. John's is obvious with all the time and effort they put in supporting and making sure things get done. Kathy and Dave make sure that the simpler and the bigger things in the choir does make it easier, whether it be coordinating pizza for our fall recruitment night, or finding and vetting locations for our annual retreat. They just take care of it. They're willing to take ideas proposed by the choir team, or congregation and make them a reality. One example of this was preparing to sing at our congregational member, for one of our congregational members in a retirement home. All the arrangements were made by Kathy, which were not easy because the nursing home wasn't really easy to work with. And then Kathy went through the hymnal to find the appropriate hymns and anthems that the choir could just have ready for that event and for future events. It was a wonderful success, and it wouldn't have happened smoothly without her work. Kathy has often stood in for the choir director when he's been absent, running rehearsals at times, leading the choir, or leading the congregation in hymns. She's served as a great sounding board over these past few years to help the music program to get where it is today. Dave has also been running the dishwasher for very many years after each soup and bread lunch. Different folks have been in charge of the lunches, but Dave and Kathy have always been there for the dishes and cleanup. Thank you, Dave and Kathy, for your service. It does not go unseen and unappreciated. And David has a little.
Thank you.
Sure, you can say something.
I can't tell you how much I love this church. I'm serious. You didn't have to do this for me to say that. But I can't tell you the number of times we've driven home from church, and I have said to Dave, we are so blessed to have that community. And then also, Rob, Stephen, the music, the choir, it heals one's soul in better ways than I can think of from anywhere else. Did you want to say anything,
A
sweetie?
word or two. It's just nice to come someplace where people are so misguided that they give me an award. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Every week at St. John's, we celebrate both our joys and our concerns. And here we do that by coming forward to place stones, symbols of what we carry, into the sand of our beloved community. If you would like a joy or concern to be read aloud, please write it down, or if you are joining us online enter it into the chat, and they will be shared at the end. Raquel says, holding many losses in my heart from the past week, but I have to celebrate my son starting training as an airline pilot this week. Emily and Charles have a joy and concern. We leave tomorrow for Honolulu. I get that. And John Kachuba is 76 years young today. These are anxious days, hair-pulling, hand-wringing days. We are bombarded on all sides with new and unprecedented developments. Grave threats to our national values and institutions on one hand, and countless calls to action on the other. And then the flood of critique and analysis, whose strategy is winning, how do we outmaneuver the other side? These are indeed uncertain times. And yet, there are some things we do know for certain. We know that our blue boat home continues to rotate on its axis, continues its familiar sojourn around the sun. The sun sets and rises, and if we remember to pause, we may lose ourselves but for a moment in the glorious play of light and color on the horizon. Beneath the crust of the cold earth, the crocuses and daffodils are stirring in their winter hibernation. The energy of life and living is pulsing in them, and in the latent blades of grass and the unseen maple buds. And it's pulsing in us too. The pulse of life calls us to nourish our bodies with good food and movement, to nourish our spirits with art and song, friendship and tenderness and quiet. When we heed the pulse of life, we know that we need to rise in the morning and rest into darkness, to put our hands, hearts, and minds to work, to meet those in our midst with compassion, to join with the vulnerable and speak truth to power, to play with our youngest and hear the wisdom of our elders, to heal the sick and wounded, to grieve the dying and remember the dead, to be of use, and sometimes to be still. The pulse of life is beating in each and every one of us. Amidst the clamor of these times, let us heed its sure and steady rhythm. I want to invite the kids and anyone who feels called to come forward for our story for all ages. And worry not, if you are staying out there, the pictures will also be on the screen. Does this work? Can you hear me? Yeah? Can you guys hear me? No? It's on, I'm just not angled well. Is that better? Okay. I'm used to holding it, not positioning it. So this is a book called Frederick. Anyone ever read it before? It's pretty old. It was, for a book, it was written many, many years ago. But I think it still has important things to share with us. So this is it's about a mouse. Well, it's about a few mice. All along the meadow, where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away, the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night, all except for Frederick. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather the sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, And now, Frederick? I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. And once Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say. The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall. No one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. What about your supplies, Frederick? They asked. Close your eyes, said Frederick, as he climbed on a big stone. Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how they're golden glow? And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? And how about the colors, Frederick? They asked anxiously. Close your eyes again, Frederick said, and then he told them of blue periwinkles, the red poppies and the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush. They saw all the colors as clearly as if they had been painted on their minds. And the words, Frederick? Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky, 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the springtime who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less or 1 more. When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. But Frederick, they said, you are a poet. Frederick blushed, took a bow, and shyly said, I know it. The end. During raise your hand in the
Okay, it's time for Split the Plate. I'm Brennan. I'm here from the Outreach Committee. If you're also on the Outreach Committee, wave your hand. We won. We happy won. Okay, if you have questions about the Outreach Committee, see me after the service. One of the things that your Outreach Committee does here at St. John's is to help share the blessings that we have with others in the community. And one of the best ways we do that is we invite community members who are doing unique and powerful things for humanity. We bring them in here, and we get to hear a little bit about what they do, and then we share our offering with them each week. So if you're new to St. John's, this is called Split the Plate, and in a few minutes, our guests will finish talking, and then we want you to dig into your wallets, get out your checkbooks, and give generously, because we will split all of the funds that are gathered here today evenly between St. John's and the Willows Project, which is our guest here today. I was raised in a family where we were told to take the Bible literally. Okay. Well, you know, my favorite saying of Jesus is, you feed them. He said that. He said that to the disciples. You feed them. Well, these folks, they're here from the Willows Project, and they really help to feed the people in amazing ways in our community. And I want to welcome Elaine and Paul to say a few words about the Willows Project. I hope you'll find it inspiring, and you'll give generously today for Split the Plate.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. My name is Elaine Dulovich, and this is my colleague Paul Breidenbach, and we are with the Willows Project. I'm the president, Paul's our secretary and board member, and we are a small group of volunteers who serve mainly the northern Hamilton County area, mainly the Princeton City School District. We serve people who live there, who have immigrated to our country in the hopes of having a better life for themselves and their families, but they don't know how to get along in our systems. We show them how to grocery shop. We show them how to go to food banks, how to get clothing. We provide also a weekly food and clothing distribution on site at their apartment complex that we originally started helping, and now a second apartment complex that has a great number of immigrants that need help. We also raise money. We don't keep any for ourselves. We're purely a nonprofit volunteer organization, and we raise our money to help people who are in need of rent assistance, temporary rent assistance. Like I said before, food assistance, clothing, help getting their children into the proper schools and the proper medical attention that they might need. We've also helped get passports for children who are born here in the U.S. with the great increase of deportations that unfortunately has been occurring for the past 11 months. We see a lot of families who are split. A lot of the breadwinners who get picked up at work by ICE are detained, and now there's a spouse at home with children most of the time, and they need help getting back on their feet. Our latest client is a particularly, I'll just tell one story, I've got millions of them. Our most recent client is the family who lives in the Willows Project apartments. And, oh, sorry, it takes a minute for me to compose myself to tell this. The wife, the mother of 3 children, she suddenly died on Thursday. Totally unexpected, typical mom in her mid-30s, she passed away. The very next day, her husband, who is now a widower, was picked up by ICE and put in detention in one of the sweeps in Springdale that occurred over the late week and the weekend. So that leaves 3 children at home. Luckily, there are other relatives here in the area who have chipped in to help. A GoFundMe account has been started to help with funeral expenses, et cetera. But they need help with expenses right now, rent, food, that sort of thing. So that's our latest fundraising plea to help families, help this particular family, plus so many others that we see in very similar circumstances. We've been around since, 2016? We were incorporated, I think, in the year 2000, so we are an official nonprofit organization, a charitable organization, and we really appreciate religious faith communities like your wonderful community to help us in our goal to help our neighbors who are unfortunately needing a lot of help right now. So I appreciate you listening to us, and I appreciate the Split the Plate event today very much. Paul has been working with this community for many more years than I have. He's a very good point person for the community members to contact. And I'm grateful to Paul, our other members of our group, and all the volunteers who help us. So thank you very much.
I just want to say briefly, the Willows Project has been immeasurably enhanced by the work of Chris and Claire Wagner and other St. John's volunteers. So many of you are familiar with our work. We're starting to expand, we hope, to a language exchange and some English classes at the neighboring Heritage Hill Elementary, where we finally have permission to hold classes. And so thanks for everything you've already done, and thanks for everything you'll be able to do. Thank you.
And just a reminder, you can also designate your entire donation for the Split the Plate agency. Just make a note on a check or on an envelope. Greg's got envelopes if you need them. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission. St. John's is committed to creating a safe and caring community, working for peace and social justice, and celebrating beliefs that reflect freedom of thought. Thank you for your offering.
by Dana Lee Simon. She starts out with a quote by Alice Walker: "Resistance is the secret of joy." The theme of joy has been reverberating as a holy echo in my life over these past months. Joy feels like one of the most compassionate offerings I can hand over to the depth of my soul, which in many moments, on many days, is throbbing with an anger and overwhelm beyond what I can even explain. The most obvious explanation is simply that I'm paying attention. Also, and I love this, maybe puberty's bookend, menopause. My clearest observation about the joy bouncing around inside of me is that she's never by herself, and her unlikely companions always surprise me: sorrow and suffering, fear and fraudulence, pain and perseveration. How joy has the audacity to sidle up to these unlikely characters is beyond me. I am in awe when she appears like a grace beyond my own doing. It's a wonder when she arises like a gift beyond my own deserving. And I'm becoming more aware of my own agency in inviting joy's emergence. As I attune my attention to the reality of the world and of my own life, it helps me figure out my intention, the intention that has more to do with the how than the what. How am I going to show up in my life? How do I want to live out my values in the process of my own transformation? How do I hold all life's complexities while trying to show up as my whole self? As I deepen my intention, my agency, my power rises up, showing me the possibilities. One of the possibilities is always joy. I can choose her or not. She's not a bypass of everything in this world that's hard to hold and feel. She is a tool that helps us grapple with their reality. She's like finding something you thought you had lost forever. She's like a rain falling on parched, cracked ground. She's the person at a party who approaches you when you're feeling lonely. I choose her. I can, and I do. The author ends with a prayer, and it goes like this: Holy One, the Psalms tell us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Instill in us the desire to search for joy, the intention to find it, and the courage to live it out loud. Amen.
We'll now sing hymn 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. Please rise and body your spirit. We'll do do, and then sing, and then clap, and then rest, and then do at the end again. You got all that? It's up on the board. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do. Oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing, 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 sing.
if you're like me, hearing the story of Frederick for the first time, you might have been feeling just a little frustrated with Frederick, sitting and soaking up the sun while everyone else carries food for the winter. Those of us who have been through high school know the challenge of having that one member slacking on all the group work. And yet, it was in the middle of winter, when there wasn't work to do, that things were the hardest for the other mice. And it was Frederick who offered stories, who lifted the spirits of the other mice. Frederick who had the extra supplies they needed. Frederick reminds us that some of the work that must be done may not be what we expect. And this feels important to keep in mind as the United States slips into fascism and we consider the unfathomable work that lies ahead. I know many of you were shaken by the talk of further attack on other nations, the murder of Renee Good, and the continued violent and just cruel kidnappings of people across our country. 2026 is not kicked off in the way we might have hoped. And it's hard to know what to do. It's easy to feel like the only thing we can do is watch the news, post angry thoughts, participate in 5 calls and protest. We can feel like we have a responsibility to watch and react, even when it doesn't serve us or the work we are called to do to increase justice in this country. In times like these, joy and rest can feel wrong. Like we are taking time away from the work when others are suffering. It can bring up the reaction I know I had when first read the story of Frederick. If others are working, if others are suffering, surely it isn't right to just soak up the sun. But today I want to look more deeply at joy and rest and consider what role they have in resisting oppression, in helping us and those around us survive the hard times. One of the Egyptian myths speculates that right after we die, we meet with the god. I have completely blanked on the pronunciation. It's Osiris. Osiris. I knew that this morning. Who will give us a quiz, just when you thought the pop quizzes were over. After 42 rather routine questions concerning how the deceased has lived, Osiris asks one crucial question that has 2 parts. Did you find joy, and did you bring joy? Right? Joy is not the only point of life, but what if it's one of the important ones? What if the messages that tell us to fear the other, to be unhappy with ourselves, to worry about the future, what if they are wrong and the Egyptians have it right? Did you find joy? Did you bring joy? Now, that isn't the same thing as asking, were you happy? Joy is an undercurrent of life, something thicker and more sustaining than simple transient pleasure. Reverend Tom Owen O'Toole says, holy joy itself is discoverable smack dab in our very midst, where we're least likely to look, in well-worn relationships, in difficult work, in startling objects, in quiet moments, in the eyes of strangers, and even in the tedium and trivia of life. Joy is a deep commitment that isn't dependent on present circumstances. It's a spiritual practice that we often cultivate in community. Barbara Ehrenreich, in her book, Dancing in the Streets, A History of Collective Joy, discusses the history of collective joy, of dance and celebration as rebellion, including when and why it was outlawed by various groups. Interesting book if you have a moment. One thing she mentions is that joy and playfulness are important ways to access, music and playfulness are important ways to access joy. In fact, joy, especially through music and playfulness, can be powerful tools in activism for urgently needed change. We've seen this recently, especially in the Portland ICE protests, which have featured naked bike rides and inflatable animal costumes that have spread across the country. At the most recent No Kings protest here in Cincinnati, my family saw several inflatable costumes. Addie may be very disappointed if these aren't a feature at every protest she attends. I was watching some comics while cleaning house this week. One of the women I turned on came on stage and started her set with, "So, Nazis." Everybody just burst out laughing. That's not how you expect someone to kick off a comedy routine. It was the surprise that led to the laughter, and the laughter that opened them up to what she was about to say about her tool for figuring out the right side of issues. Whatever side the Nazis are on, be on the other side. A serious issue made much easier to understand through collective joy. So go ahead, soak up the sun, gather colors, gather words, listen to the comedians, celebrate the holidays and birthdays and any days. Notice the beauty of the people and the places around you. Take time to cultivate joy that will sustain you through the struggle. And then rest, because rest too is required for resistance. Judy Brown reflects on this in her poem, Fire. She says, "What makes the fire burn is the space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between, as much as to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of fuel together that make fire possible. We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. It can be hard to slow down, especially when it feels like there is so very much to do. And for us, especially you adults, we may have absorbed the message that rest is a sign of laziness, or it's just wrong. If you were really annoyed with Frederick, you might consider if you've absorbed that message. It's easy to forget that rest itself is productive and necessary for fulfilling our call in this world. Our most restful time, sleep, is also one of the most life-giving parts of our day. When we sleep, our blood pressure lowers, giving our heart and blood vessels a bit of rest. Sleep helps us maintain steadier blood sugar. It can help us with our moods and the resources we need to face the day. If you've skipped a night's sleep or had a terrible one, you know what I mean. It's harder to deal with the day-to-day minor frustrations that come into our lives when we don't have sleep. In the rest of sleep, our body also does a lot of the work on cell growth and damage repair. There's evidence that shorter sleep times result in higher stress levels and a lower functioning immune system. Scientists also tell us that sleep has a lot to do with brain plasticity, the ability of the brain to change, adapt, and reorganize. Sleep helps us remember our day. Lost sleep results in lost memories. We need to rest to stay healthy, to live full lives. Indeed, we need it to remember who we are and why we're here. The Abrahamic religions teach that even God rested on the seventh day of creation and commanded God's people to rest to set aside the seventh day of each week as a Sabbath. May we learn to do that as well. My beloved spiritual companions, in this week, may you seek out times of joy. May you find an undercurrent of joy in your life. And may you allow yourself to rest. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you to take a few moments to greet your neighbor. Perhaps share with them something that you find joy in. But don't go for the easy stuff, like your family. Of course, you find joy in your family most of the time. Find something unusual or unexpected even.
We're going to try my voice one more time before we clap. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. Thank you. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing our closing hymn today, 168, One More Step. One more step, we will take one more step. shared by everyone, will say one more word, one more prayer. We will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone, will say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone, will sing one more song.
Go forth and remember that rest is not retreat, but resistance, that joy is not frivolous, but faithful, and that the Sabbath is an act of hope. Go in peace, go in love. Blessed be.
Eat lunch.
Oh, and go eat lunch.
That was great. Thank you, that was lovely. That was great. Thank you.
Gonna get some food.
Probably not. Probably just go home.
How was your anniversary?
It was really good. It was really good. Yeah. We went to dinner that night, and we'd already done a bunch of things in the year. So,
Yeah.
like, we went to Brazil on our actual.
Right.
I mean, it was work related, but then it wasn't. So it
Yeah,
was actually
since you got to take
it was
your-
at the